There are seasons in life when everything on the outside looks the same, yet inside, you begin to notice a very subtle shift. No one says much, nothing is clearly named. Just a quiet sense that the space around you doesn't feel exactly the way it used to. Libra understands this feeling deeply. Because you move through life with sensitivity. You notice what others tend to miss. A gaze that lingers a little longer, silence that carries more meaning, and a distance that seems to be slowly closing in. Today's video isn't meant to give answers. It's simply a story told at an unhurried pace about small signals, about inner balance, and about that moment when someone begins to feel drawn a little closer. And this story begins with the softest signs, right here in the very first part. A Libra experiences the world through the smallest movements. You don't need long explanations to sense that something is changing. All it takes is a slight pause in the air around you, and you already know. That change doesn't show up as obvious action. There are no rapid messages, no carefully arranged words meant to impress. Everything unfolds quietly, like the late afternoon light slanting through a window. Unnamed, yet enough to make the room feel different. Libra tends to notice this early, not because you imagine things, but because you've learned to live through subtle awareness. You notice a gaze that lingers longer than usual. You sense a gentle hesitation just before someone walks away. You feel that the distance between two people is no longer holding its old shape. These signals aren't loud, but they're real. For Libra, care rarely takes a dramatic form. It arrives through attention to the smallest details. Someone remembers how you go quiet when you're tired. Someone recognizes that you need space, not advice. Someone doesn't try to move faster than you, but adjusts their pace so they don't disturb the balance you're holding. You live with a deep awareness of harmony. That's why, when someone begins to move closer, you don't focus on what they say. You feel how they show up. That presence carries no pressure. It doesn't demand immediate response. It doesn't ask you to become someone else just to fit in. It simply exists in just the right amount. Libra understands that lasting connections don't need much noise. They're built on respect and genuine listening. And when someone truly wants to come closer, they often begin by slowing down. You can recognize this in very ordinary moments. A conversation that isn't interrupted, a silence that feels comfortable, a sense of ease when you don't have to explain yourself too much. This isn't explosive attraction. It's a feeling of safety, something Libra values more than any beautiful words. Deep down, Libra always seeks balance between giving and holding back. You don't open easily, but when you do, you hope the other person understands the worth of that gentleness. And when someone approaches you in a soft, respectful way, your intuition knows immediately. This isn't intrusion. It's an invitation to step into your world without disrupting the order that already exists. What's interesting is that these signs often appear when you're at your most balanced state, when you're no longer searching for validation, when you stop trying to prove your worth, when you accept yourself, including the quiet, imperfect pauses. In that state, your energy softens, not closed off, not overly open. And it's this steadiness that makes others feel at ease when they move closer. Libra doesn't need to do anything extra to create these signals. You simply need to be yourself. Your sincerity is already enough to be felt. And if you're noticing those subtle shifts in the air around you, allow yourself to observe a little longer. There's no need to name it yet. No need to draw conclusions. Just listen. Because for Libra, the things that truly matter always begin with the softest signs, and gently lead you into a deeper story in the next part. What surprises many Libras the most isn't that someone wants to move closer, it's the timing of when it happens. This shift rarely begins on the outside. It starts with a deep change within you, a change that isn't loud, doesn't announce itself, yet carries enough weight to make the world around you respond differently. As inner balance begins to take shape, you notice you're no longer standing in the role of managing everything. You stop constantly measuring other people's emotions. You stop trying to be the most agreeable version of yourself in every situation. For a long time, Libra invested a great deal of energy in keeping the peace, making sure relationships ran smoothly, making sure no one felt left out, making sure everything felt fine. even when you were exhausted inside. And then, at some point, you pause. Not because you've grown distant, but because you learn that real balance can't come from abandoning yourself. The moment you stop trying to please everyone, a new kind of space opens up. A space that allows you to breathe more deeply, allows you to say no without over-explaining, allows you to set boundaries without carrying guilt alongside them. Those boundaries aren't walls. They're more like the soft edges of a garden, clear enough so others know how to step in, gentle enough so no one feels pushed away. When you stop questioning whether you're enough, your energy shifts. You enter conversations with fuller presence. You listen without rehearsing your response. You give without expecting immediate return. And it's this sense of fullness that others experience as safety. That safety doesn't sparkle. It doesn't overwhelm. It makes people want to stay a little longer, want to say one more thing. You want to sit in silence with you without feeling empty. Libra's inner balance is like a soft lamp, not harsh, not performative, but bright enough to illuminate the small shadows others tend to hide. When someone senses that light, they don't rush forward. They pause, they observe, and they ask themselves whether they can move slowly enough, respectfully enough, honestly enough to step closer. What matters here is this. At this stage, Libra no longer needs anyone to feel complete. You're already whole in your own way. And because of that, the connections that enter your life begin to carry a different quality. No longer about compensation, no longer about filling gaps, but about the meeting of two worlds that already have their own order. You find yourself less drawn to beautiful words that lack consistency. You pay more attention to how someone keeps their word, how they show up when there's nothing to prove, how they respect your rhythm and your space. In this balanced state, you don't pull anyone closer, you don't push anyone away. You stay grounded within yourself and allow things to reveal themselves naturally. This shift brings a new kind of calm. Not withdrawal, but trust that what truly fits will find its own way. And when someone begins to move closer during this phase, they don't come because you need them. They come because they feel this. Beside you, they don't have to be on guard. This becomes a profound lesson for Libra. That inner balance doesn't just heal you. It shapes the quality of the relationships that enter your life afterward. You don't need to search for connection. When you live in alignment with your own rhythm, then the right connections adjust themselves to meet you at the most harmonious point. And from this place, the story begins to move deeper still, beyond feeling, beyond sensing, into the moment when someone decides they no longer want to remain on the outside. In Libra's journey, there are people who don't arrive in straight lines. They were once very close, so close you could feel their presence woven into your daily rhythm. And then, over time, they step back, leaving behind a space that's hard to name. That space isn't necessarily loss. It feels more like a necessary pause, one that allows both sides to understand what truly matters when they're no longer standing side by side. There are also those who never crossed into the inner circle at all. They remain at the edge of the story, watching in silence. They don't interfere. They don't rush to reveal themselves. They simply wait until you stop placing yourself in the role of having to prove your worth. When Libra no longer tries to become something just to be accepted, the space around you shifts. Urgency begins to fade, and sincerity starts to speak in its own quiet way. The person who wants to move closer at this stage doesn't arrive with sudden excitement. They don't force their way into your world with rapid words or dramatic gestures. Instead, they adjust their pace, careful not to disturb the balance you worked so hard to build. Libra always recognizes the difference between care and intrusion. You can feel it when someone approaches with genuine respect. They don't ask too much. They don't push for answers. They don't try to control the direction of your life. They show up calmly. And that calm presence carries weight. There are very small moments when you realize they no longer want to remain on the outside. The time they stay a few minutes longer after a conversation ends. The way they listen without interrupting. The moment they choose understanding over debate. Those actions don't need labels. They speak clearly on their own. Libra values respect more than any elegant words. You don't need to be convinced by beautiful language. You need consistency. You need to see how someone carries themselves when there's nothing to gain. And the person who truly wants to come closer understands this. They don't try to impress. They choose to become trustworthy. Their slowness doesn't come from hesitation. It comes from the awareness that deep connections need time to settle. That closeness shouldn't be the result of pressure, but a natural agreement between two rhythms of life. At this stage, Libra is no longer pulled by vague signals. You watch how someone behaves when no one is watching. You notice how they respect your personal space. You sense the steadiness in the way they show up. Even when nothing is fully defined, that clarity in action creates a sense of ease, not the feeling of promises, but the feeling of being respected. For Libra, being respected is a very deep form of love. It doesn't require you to change who you are. It doesn't demand immediate decisions. It simply gives you permission to be yourself. When someone decides not to stay on the outside anymore, they step into your world with humility. They don't carry heavy expectations. They carry a willingness to listen. And in that moment, you realize that what arrives slowly often carries a depth that urgency can never create. Libra doesn't need many people moving closer. You only need those who know how to enter your life without tipping the scales. If you're sensing the presence of someone like this, allow everything to unfold in its own rhythm. There's no need to conclude too quickly. No need to rush the process. Because respect, when placed where it belongs, naturally guides the steps that follow. And from here, the story begins to open into another layer. A place where Libra realizes there's no longer any need to chase anyone at all. There's a realization that arrives very slowly in Libra's journey of growing up, that you don't need to move toward anyone in order to be seen. For a long time, you became used to adjusting your steps, slowing down when others weren't ready, speeding up when you feared losing the rhythm of connection. You didn't do this out of weakness, but because you value harmony enough to sacrifice your own comfort for it. Yet, when you stand firmly in the balance you've built, something becomes very clear. The right connections don't need to be chased. If someone truly wants to come closer, they'll find their own way to blend into your life. They won't interrupt. They won't pull you out of the order you're used to. They won't place you in choices that exhaust your mind. They listen to how you organize your time. They respect the space you keep for yourself. They don't turn their presence into a test you have to pass. And Libra begins to see this. That kind of ease is more valuable than any promise. You don't need to become more lovable in order to be chosen. You don't need to reshape your personality to meet someone else's expectations. You don't need to hide your inner quiet just to keep a connection from leaving. Your gentleness is already a language that isn't loud, isn't performative, yet runs deep enough for the right person to understand even without words. That language shows itself in how you listen until the end of someone's story, in how you consider another person's feelings while still holding your own boundaries, in how you choose fairness over winning. Those who don't understand this language often ask you to explain more, to prove more, to move faster so they can keep up. The right person is different. They don't rush you. They adjust their rhythm to walk alongside you. Because they understand that closeness doesn't come from pressure, but from mutual consent. At this stage, Libra is no longer drawn to the chase. You don't measure your worth by whether you're being pursued. You look at how someone shows up when everything is ordinary. You notice how they respond when you say, "Not yet." How they maintain respect when you need time. How they stay without demanding immediate answers. Those details tell you everything. Not chasing doesn't mean closing the door. It simply means allowing the door to open in the most natural way. No pulling, no pushing. Libra learns that when you stop running after validation, you create a space wide enough for sincerity to enter. That space sets no conditions, forces no decisions. It invites through steadiness and consistency. And within that space, those who truly want to stay find their place. They don't feel lost. They don't need to strain themselves to fit in. Neither do you. You no longer have to guess whether to step forward or step back. You stand within yourself and let things unfold in their own rhythm. This steadiness doesn't come from control. It comes from trusting that what's meant for you won't require you to trade away who you are. Libra doesn't need many people moving closer. You need connections that know how to keep balance with you. Connections that don't tip the scales you've protected for so long. When you stop chasing, you allow life to meet you at its most neutral point, a place where you don't have to choose between yourself and someone else. A place where you don't sacrifice peace just to feel wanted. And it's there that you realize what arrives slowly, always in the right rhythm, often carries a depth that urgency can never create. From this awareness, the story opens into another chapter. One where Libra begins to listen to the quiet lessons hidden within every connection. No longer about who comes closer, but about what is being awakened inside you. At a very deep point in this story, Libra begins to realize that the focus was never about who would come or who would leave. The focus has always been on how you stand with yourself, while everything around you is in motion. Many people think this is a story about love, but for Libra, it's also a story about self-worth, being placed back where it belongs. When you stand firmly in your own inner balance, you stop searching for validation from the outside. You no longer need someone to appear to prove that you are worthy of care. You no longer use another person's closeness to fill the quiet spaces inside that haven't yet been heard. In this state, you are fully present in each moment. You know what you need, you know what drains you, and you know when to pause to protect your sense of peace. That clarity creates a very subtle shift. The connections that enter your life begin to carry a different quality. They no longer arrive with a feeling of lack. They don't come from a need to be rescued. They come from a desire to share a space that is already whole. That space isn't perfect, but it's real. It holds both light days and quiet evenings. And anyone who steps into it isn't asked to make it brighter. They're simply asked to respect the light that's already there. Libra learns that not every approach is meant to stay. Some people appear only to reflect how much you've changed. Some pass through to teach you how to keep gentler boundaries. And some arrive at exactly the right moment, not to fill space, but to walk alongside you. Those who come at the right time rarely carry many promises. They don't speak too much about the future. They focus on how they show up in the present. And because of that, everything feels lighter. Libra no longer sees longevity as a goal to achieve. You see it as a natural result of compatibility. No forcing, no holding on too tightly, no fear of letting go. When you've learned how to value yourself, you're no longer afraid of losing what never truly belonged to you. You understand that the right connections will never ask you to trade away your inner balance. This lesson arrives quietly. It doesn't come as a dramatic event. There's no explosive moment to mark it. Just one day, you notice you don't react the same way anymore. You don't rush to reply. You don't blame yourself for needing time. You don't feel guilty for choosing peace. And within that change, you begin to sense a very personal kind of strength. A strength that doesn't come from controlling everything. It comes from trusting that you are whole, even when standing alone. From believing that your worth doesn't depend on whether someone is beside you. Libra learns to see relationships as meaningful encounters, not mandatory destinations. Each person arrives carrying a lesson, and every lesson helps you become more grounded. When staying is no longer your measure of success, you begin to value the quality of each moment, a deep conversation, an understanding that needs no explanation, a sense of ease in being yourself. These things aren't loud, but they nourish you in a lasting way. And at this stage, Libra understands this clearly. Self-worth is not something to be proven. It's something felt most deeply when you live in alignment with your own rhythm. Those who arrive at the right time don't make you doubt yourself. They don't cause you to question what you should change. They step into that already whole space with respect. And if they need to leave, they do so with kindness. This is a quiet lesson, yet a profound one. That inner balance doesn't just help you choose better, it also helps you let go more gently. And from this understanding, another message begins to form. Not meant for anyone outside of you, but meant for Libra alone, about how you allow yourself to receive what you deserve, in a rhythm that is uniquely your own. As the story reaches this point, Libra no longer needs to search for more answers, because what matters most is already present in the way you live with yourself. If a feeling begins to surface inside you, that someone may want to move a little closer, allow that feeling to simply exist. There's no need to assign it a meaning right away. You don't need to push, and you don't need to build thicker defenses. Just allow everything to unfold in the natural rhythm you've learned to trust. The rhythm of respect, the rhythm of listening, the rhythm of things that arrive slowly, yet carry depth. Libra understands that not every movement needs an immediate response. Some emotions need to be fully felt before they're shared. Some connections need space to reveal their true shape. In this state, you're no longer waiting, and you're not avoiding either. You're simply present, with a calm that comes from knowing your own worth. Your intuition at this stage is especially refined. It doesn't speak through anxiety. It doesn't urge you to act. It whispers through a sense of ease, through the relief of no longer having to brace yourself. Trust those signals, not as predictions, but as gentle guidance helping you protect the balance you worked so hard to build. Genuine connections don't arrive to disrupt your life. They blend into your existing rhythm, respect your inner order, and expand your space in a very natural way. If someone truly wants to step into your world, they won't ask you to trade your peace. They won't force you to choose between yourself and the connection. They'll find a way to stand beside you without tipping the scales. And if things aren't clear yet, that's completely okay. Libra doesn't need certainty to feel safe. You need sincerity. You need consistency. You need the feeling of being respected in the smallest moments. When you allow yourself to remain in that familiar balance, you give life the chance to meet you at its most harmonious point. No rushing, no forcing. This story doesn't ask you to believe that something grand is waiting ahead. It simply invites you to look back at the path you've already walked and recognize how much you've grown. You know how to love without losing yourself. You know how to open your heart while still honoring boundaries. You know how to stay with yourself even when someone else is near. That kind of peace is rare, and you built it with patience. If something new is quietly forming, let it grow within that space. There's no need to name it yet. No need to promise anything. Just stay present long enough to sense whether it brings harmony. And if you're listening to this story in a very personal moment, remember this. You don't need to become anyone else to deserve gentle connections. You are already enough in your own unique way. This may not be an ending, and it may not yet be a clear beginning. Just a very soft transition in Libra's journey. A place where you allow yourself to slow down, to listen more deeply, and to trust that what truly fits will always find its way back to harmony.